teams that were in dire situations, and all of a sudden, the script and the narrative has shifted 360 degrees. Los Angeles Clippers, the other team in LA that was in the opposite boat of the Lakers, they went on the road to Dallas trailing 0-2. Trailing 0-2. And they come back this Monday, and it's an even series 2-2. This Clippers team, it's mind-boggling to me. I've been a fan of the NBA and of basketball for so long. I've never witnessed a team that is quite as complex and impossible to identify and understand than the Clippers. I can't do it. They're the ultimate enigma. This is the ultimate Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team. It's puzzling because you look at this team and my immediate reaction was, well, where were these performances in game 1 and game 2 when you're at home? And I understand, and I'm going to touch on the Luka injury and the Mavericks, but it just befuddles me how the Clippers all of a sudden decided to start playing basketball on the road with their backs against the wall. And I understand that the main difference was the shooting disparity, how the Mavericks in the first 2 games in LA were unbelievable, shooting it over 50%, over 52% in game 2 from the three-point line, and that they were essentially ice cold in game 4. They shot 5 of 30 from the three-point line last night, the Dallas Mavericks. So I understand that that plays a role, but a big reason for those missed shots was that the defensive intensity for the Clippers ratcheted up. They were a lot more dialed in. They were a lot more locked in and focused. They contested shots. They were active with their hands defensively. And for the meantime, they've quashed any of these concerns about this team. And a lot of times we question them, we question their backbone because we hadn't seen them do it yet in the postseason. And this is the first time that we saw the Clippers truly with their backs against the wall, and they rolled up their sleeves and got the job done. And again, it just makes me take a step back and say, this is the team that we were expecting to see right from the get-go. This was the team that we were expected to potentially reach the Western Conference Finals last year, potentially reach the Western Conference Finals this year. If they play like that, yeah, they've got a great chance. This is a better all-around team than the Dallas Mavericks, and even the addition of Rajon Rondo is finally visible with this group in the postseason. He played great. Kawhi Leonard has been fantastic on the road, and really just this entire series, but especially the past 2 games, he's been much more aggressive and assertive. Paul George is shooting it confidently. I'm actually happy to see Paul George apparently be out of his head and playing confidently and freely because he's a fantastic talent when he does. And Marcus Morris Sr. was hitting threes. So this was the type of performance that we were expecting to see. And again, it's not just that the Mavericks shot particularly well in the first 2 games in LA. That wasn't the only difference why they won. It's not like the Clippers played the exact same way at home as they did on the road. The Mavericks just shot better, so the results were different. No, the difference is the mindset that each team had coming into this ball game and coming into the games on the road versus at home. The Clippers came in with a desperation on the road. The Mavericks couldn't match it, couldn't match that level of intensity at all. And Luka Doncic, listen, I give him a lot of credit for battling through that nerve issue in his neck. It almost stings. There's a pulsating kind of feel to it, pulsating pain that just kind of trickles through your entire neck into your body. And the fact that he was able to battle through and give out the type of production he gave out of 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, it's fantastic. I mean, in this entire series, he's torched the Clippers, averaging 38 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists through the first 3 games of the postseason against the Clippers. So I'm never going to question the heart or the talent of Luka Doncic. Although the only thing that is mind-boggling to me is how atrocious he is at the free throw line. I cannot seem to pinpoint why the guy goes 0 for 5 from the free throw line, shooting 60% from the free throw line this series. And yet, he'll back down Kawhi Leonard, hit a tough step back fall away, and just swish it over him from 17 feet out. But an uncontested free throw where it's just you at the line with no defender in your face, you can't make that. And I love Luka Doncic. That is the only blemish and flaw in his game. That's it. That's it. Just make the free throws, and this game totally feels differently. There were about three-point play opportunities for Luka Doncic if he could make the free throw, and he couldn't. I'm not saying that in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the entirety of the game, yes, the Mavericks lost by 25. I'm not saying that if Luka Doncic makes 4 out of those 5 free throws, they're going to win the game. But they came at timely spots in the ball game where the momentum was fickle and very ephemeral for both teams and both sides. And you have a guy in Luka where, okay, if you convert that 3-point play, now the fans are really engaged. It came down to, and I don't say this as a slight to Boban Marjanovic. I love Boban Marjanovic. Rick Carlisle needed to insert Boban Marjanovic into the ballgame to try and excite the fans, to try and get the building some juice, some energy. It had nothing to do with strategics, even though he did play pretty well, and he's always going to have the height advantage, and he's a character. Everyone loves him. There's nothing negative you can say about Boban Marjanovic, but that's what it came down to. Rick Carlisle literally believed the best chance for the Dallas Mavericks to win Game 4 because of the lack of energy that they came out with was to insert Boban Marjanovic into the series, a series in which he has not made any appearances up until this point. Barely played throughout the entire season. And that's what it came down to. So this is why this Clippers team baffles me, because this was the team we expected to see. Now we go into Game 5. The Clippers are favored, and they should be favored. But what type of team are we going to get? And that's the question. Are we going to get the same Clippers team that showed up in Games 1 and 2 or Games 3 and 4? Are the Mavericks going to shoot as poorly in Game 4 as they did? Or are they going to shoot as poorly in Game 4 rather than shoot blistering hot in the first 2 games? What type of Mavericks team will we get? And the interesting thing, the more I've been watching these two teams, the more I'm realizing that their strengths are exactly the same in this instance. Whichever team shoots better from the 3-point line wins the game. Games 1 and 2. Mavericks shot better from the 3-point line. It wasn't just because Luka Doncic was going off. Games 3 and 4. The Clippers absolutely shot better from the 3-point line. So we'll see what happens in Game 5. And the Mavericks obviously try to involve Kristaps Porzingis. They tried to get him the ball early, and he got it going early. And that was a big height advantage and big advantage. But Porzingis is at his most effective when the shooters around him can actually spot up and hit shots. If the shooters around him aren't hitting shots, Kristaps Porzingis is still effective, but not nearly to the same degree. So the Clippers, listen, they showed a lot of backbone, a lot of fight, a lot of mental fortitude that we hadn't seen yet from them. And that should be commended. And they deserve a lot of credit for that. But, of course, the natural question comes up, which is, will that type of performance be summoned back at home in Game 5? And I don't know. I truly don't know. I want to say yes, it should. But they saved their season. They saved their season. They saved their iteration of this Clippers team as we know it, because it would have been utterly calamitous if they were to have lost one of these games, or worse, gone swept. They would have absolutely imploded if they lost Game 3. They were trailing 30-11. They came back and won that game. That was huge for them. So It's going to set up a really fascinating game 5 that I absolutely cannot wait for.